Hello and a very warm welcome to a very grey and drizzly Norfolk evening here at the end of a dead-end lane in North Norfolk, close to my home, and I've just come up to Lessingham Church, which is at the end of this farm lane, and I've come up here this evening because I just really wanted to come out and pick a few blackberries. I knew that there were some here. I've been here recently and they're not very good just down the lane from me on the heath this year, well not yet anyway, so I thought I'd come back up here, and as well as that I wanted to forage for a few bits and pieces in the churchyard for some printmaking I'm going to be doing, because I knew that the churchyard itself hasn't been mown. They've been keeping it for conservation, and so there's lots and lots of wild species here. So I thought, well, as I say, it's not exactly a sunny evening to show you, but I thought you might like to come and have a look and just see what we can see. I won't pick anything while we're talking, but I'll just show you what's here, and I'll pop round again afterwards and pick a few things. So first of all, I have noticed that there are a few more blackberries, which is good. Not a huge number, but I think enough for my needs. And that here the haws are ripening on the hawthorn, so we can see the leaf seasons definitely progressing. And the wind is blowing. It's gone a bit chilly. It's a beautiful little church, medieval church, not open at the moment like so many churches. Anyway, this is beautiful, lovely, one of my favourite colours, this dock that's flowering. I suppose it's its seed heads now. Beautiful rusty colour, I find it very, very inspiring, and its leaves become this kind of rust colour as well at this time of year. And there's also some teasels, which are lovely. I'll try and collect some seed from those. I'd love some teasels in the garden. And I did notice when I parked the car that there's some honesty, so I'm probably have a little, but I have got some growing in the garden. I've grown some from seed, but they're not exactly at this stage yet, so they're little seedlings, so I will have some of those as well to take home. And we've walked past, but there's also some mugwort, which is a magical herb here, which I definitely would like a little bit of to use. I think it'll make a beautiful print. And also some yarrow down here, which of course is very common everywhere on the verges, but it's nice to find it here as well. Not that I know what everything is at all, but they are things that I'd like to collect a little of. And obviously, I won't take too much of anything. And the grasses have been left, as you can see, among the gravestones here. I think this is the new part of the graveyard. And then we've got a hedge, which is primarily brambles, which means more blackberries. Lots of bramble bushes. Possibly some elders further down there, but I don't think they're ready. I don't think the elders are going to be very good this year. Well, not here anyway. Maybe other parts of the country, but I think that the flowers, they didn't really come to very much. I think the weather was just wrong at the time when it should have been right. Very misty farmland across there, and here I've come through to the old part of the graveyard, and here's the church, and it's called All Saints. I didn't remember that, but I just looked on the notice board, and there's a ruined chancel there. I think they just bricked up the end and let that bit go into ruin. This is a thatched church, and this is the churchyard, which, as you can see, is just very beautiful if you like things left wild, as I do. And you can see some ladies' bed straw down here. It's very, very delicate. I don't know if you can see even, but it's there's a little sprig of it. Lovely, lovely, very, very delicate plant. I was going to say, actually, while we're sort of walking round, we'll walk right round the church, and then I think it's a bit grey. We might call that it for this walk, and I'll just pop back and get a few things before I go home with the blackberries, a few blackberries. So anyway, what I was going to say was that I just realised when I was decided to come out here today that today is the 15th of August, so it might not be by the time this video goes up, because the internet's really, really tricky at the moment. It's not behaving very well at all, so it might take longer than I hope it will to upload the video. But anyway, when I'm actually recording this, it is the 15th of August, and that is the Feast of Assumption in the I suppose the Christian calendar, or the Catholic calendar anyway. And in medieval times, that would have been a really important festival. Obviously, this is a medieval church. And when I was going to tell you a little bit about, although I'll probably going to tell you a bit more about it on other occasions, but in quite a few years ago now, 2007, I had a grant from the Arts Council England, which was probably my most prestigious art moment and only one, and I was given an award to do a year-long project in the medieval church. And it was at Wood Dorling, which is not near here, it's near where I used to live. And what I did for that year was I looked into 12 of the medieval festivals that would have been important to people to come to the church and also around and about, because all sorts of things would go on for these festivals. And I kind of looked into the things they would have done in those days, and also I compared that with the old pagan magic and the Christian magic that used to be quite intertwined, really. We're coming to a dark part around the end of the ruined chancel here. And also I kind of wove that in with my own memories, or my own past, my own journey and story, and other things, other bits of folklore, and just all little snippets of this and that, really. And I spent time in the church and in the churchyard there on those festivals, and then I did lots of work. I did lots of stuff with photography and video and printmaking, and I made a kind of fanzine type thing every time, and left lots of copies of that around in all sorts of places for people just to find. And it was a bit strange, actually. I probably wondered whatever was going on with it. Here we are, we're looking in the ruined chancel now. Look at all the beautiful teasels that have grown up inside. Isn't that lovely? And the dock. There's the window all broken. I just think, I don't know, someone's left some litter as well, but that's people for you, isn't it? Yeah, so anyway, to get back to what I was saying, one of those, just very briefly, one of those festivals that I worked with was Assumption, and that is to do with Virgin Mary going up into heaven. But what I was really working with, oh, look at that lovely teasel flower. Can you see it? It's still got its flower. Yeah. Was the idea of women as healers in those times, that women were kind of, people wanted them to be healers. And I was looking at the elder bush in the churchyard, which has so many medicinal properties, and women in their household would have needed to know how to use those, and yet they weren't allowed to be actual physicians. In fact, they were thought of as unclean. I mean, it's a big, huge topic, really. But anyway, I was doing some work around that, and I'm not one for doing stuff about women-y, issues-y things at all. But on this particular case, it really seemed to meld and go well for me. And I was doing a lot of things with elderberries and crushing them and stringing strings of them inside the church. Oh, don't tell anybody, but I was stringing them up inside the piscina, which is the bit where they wash the vessels for the communion. And anyway, I was doing quite a few things like that. But it wasn't actually on the 15th of August, because this is another big topic, but it was actually I was working with the Julian calendar, which was the calendar that was in use at that time in medieval times, because as you may already know, in 1752 we lost 11 days when the 3rd of September went straight from the 3rd of September to the 11th of September in order to try to put the calendar right. And in fact that was 11 days, but now we're actually 13 days adrift because of the way time works. Don't ask me quite how and why, but that is a fact. So I was doing all my little bits and pieces and all my work really at the church 13 days after the actual festival. So it would have been on, when I was there for, not this church, but when I was at that church for Assumption, it would have been the 28th of August. And so maybe that's why there were more elderberries around then, I don't know. But anyway, that's just a slight aside, because I'm sure we'll come back to stuff about those festivals and the work I did then, because it's one of the most special things for me anyway in terms of art that I ever was involved in. It just gave me such a fantastic opportunity, and to make all sorts of things and to leave things out in locations and do these performances, well, not for anybody, but my own performances, and then record them, all sorts of stuff. I just love it. Anyway, that's enough of that, because I'm coming back to where the blackberries are now, and I'm going to say goodbye and go and pick some blackberries, and hopefully speak to you soon and show you something else. And next time, you must hold me to this, but I'm going to show you something in the house, in the cottage, and I'm going to have started some artwork which I want to show you what I'm doing, because I chickened out today and came and did this instead. But there's one thing watching now.